In every trade, there's a silent battle no one sees, not on the chart, not in the data, but inside the mind. Most traders think they're fighting the market, but the truth is, they're fighting themselves, their doubt, their impulses, their fear of losing, their hunger to win. Every candle that moves against you isn't a threat, it's a reflection. Every hesitation, every premature exit isn't about price, it's about patience. This is not a story about money. It's a story about control. Not control over the market, but control over emotion. Because in the end, the trader who masters patience masters everything. Welcome to Mind Over Markets, a place where trading becomes a mirror and the real profit is psychological freedom. You enter the trade, everything feels aligned, the setup is clean, the logic makes sense, and for a moment you feel that quiet confidence, the kind that whispers this might be the one. But then something starts to shift. The candle moves in your favor. You're in profit. A few pips, a few points, a few dollars. And suddenly you're no longer watching the market. You're watching your emotions. You tell yourself you're being disciplined, that you'll follow the plan. But inside another voice begins to speak soft, familiar, dangerous. It says, take it. Don't let it slip away. It says you've been burned before. It says lock it in before it turns around. And just like that, you're no longer trading your plan. You're trading your fear. You click. You exit. The line on your chart freezes in time. A tiny gain, a small victory. You exhale relieved. But then as if the market is mocking you, the price keeps running. Up and up and up. And that's when the pain begins, not the pain of loss, but the pain of what could have been. The mind doesn't process that as neutrality, it sees it as punishment. You feel it in your stomach, that ache of missing out. You start to whisper, if only I had waited. But you didn't, because you couldn't. You didn't lose money, you lost patience. And that's what the market was trying to teach you all along. Patience isn't passive. It's not about sitting still and doing nothing. It's an act of emotional endurance. It's the discipline to stay calm when every part of your body is begging you to react. It's a war between your biology and your logic. Your brain evolved to survive, not to trade. It wants safety, it wants certainty, it wants to close the loop to end the tension. That's why you feel relief when you close a position. You've reduced the unknown. But trading at its core is a game of living with the unknown. The longer you can stay in that space without flinching, the more likely you are to capture the truth of the market, not just the emotion of the moment. So this isn't really a video about holding winners. It's about learning to hold yourself, to stop flinching at every flicker of price, to stop confusing movement with meaning. Because most traders don't fail from a lack of skill, they fail from a lack of psychological stillness. They've trained their minds to chase dopamine, not data. They crave the tiny hit of closing a profitable trade, even if it means cutting their edge short. That's not trading. That's gambling with emotion. The truth is, patience feels unnatural. It feels like doing nothing in a world obsessed with doing something. You sit, you wait, you breathe, you watch price fluctuate, and your ego whispers, you're missing out. But patience isn't the absence of action, it's the mastery of timing. Every great trader has learned this lesson the hard way. They've been through the pain of watching profits vanish, the sting of closing, too early the self-disgust of breaking their own rules. And somewhere in that chaos, they learn to detach. They learn that markets don't reward emotion, they reward consistency. They learn that the chart doesn't care about hope or fear. It just reflects the collective emotion of everyone else who hasn't yet learned what you're learning now. Hope and fear, the twin forces that control almost every decision in trading. Hope tells you to hold your losers. Fear tells you to cut your winners. And between the two, Your edge evaporates. Hope whispers, maybe it'll come back. Fear screams, don't lose what you have. But patience says nothing. It just watches. It trusts the process. It breathes through the noise. Patience is not emotional silence. It's emotional mastery. And to master it, you have to train it the same way you train your body, your strategy, your system. That's what this series, The Patience Drill, is all about. Repetition, reflection, reprogramming. You don't become a patient trader by accident. You become one by design, by exposing yourself again and again to discomfort, uncertainty, boredom until they stop controlling you. Because the day you can sit in a profitable trade, feeling nothing, neither hope nor fear, that's the day you've evolved beyond being a trader. You've become a professional observer of emotion. In the next part, we'll go deeper. We'll talk about the exact structure of this mental drill, how to build patience, how to separate identity from outcome, and how to hold your winners without letting hope or fear decide for you. But for now, pause, reflect, ask yourself this question. When I close a trade, am I doing it because it aligns with my plan or because it soothes my emotions? Because the answer to that one question will reveal the truth about your entire trading psychology. The mind has a strange relationship with uncertainty. It pretends to hate it, yet it keeps seeking it. That's why you trade. Not only to make money, but to face the unknown and prove that you can control it. But the paradox is the moment you try to control it, you lose yourself to it. When the trade moves in your favor, you don't see numbers. You see validation. Proof that you were right, and your brain loves being right. It releases dopamine, that tiny spark of chemical satisfaction. You start to crave it, not the profit, but the feeling of profit, the pleasure of being correct. That's where the danger begins. Because dopamine doesn't want patience. It wants repetition. It wants you to take that feeling over and over, even if it costs you your edge. That's why traders close early, not because they lack logic, but because they're addicted to emotional certainty. They want the rush of winning more than the truth of waiting. And on the other side lies fear, fear of loss, fear of reversal, fear of giving back what you've gained. Fear feels rational. It disguises itself as caution. But in reality, it's just ego protection. It's your mind saying, I don't want to feel regret again. It's not about money. It's about identity. Every trade is a mirror reflecting who you are under pressure. Do you act from conviction or from the memory of pain? Do you follow the market or do you follow your fear? Most traders think patience means waiting for the perfect setup. But true patience begins after you're in the trade. It begins the moment your emotions demand action. That's when the real training starts. The patience drill is not a strategy. It's a conditioning protocol, a mental gym for your emotions. It starts with awareness. The next time you're in profit and your hand moves toward the close button, stop. Notice the sensation in your body, the tension in your chest, the racing thought that says, take it now. Don't obey it. Just observe it. Label it. Say quietly to yourself, this is fear. Breathe. Because naming an emotion steals its power. It transforms reaction into observation. The longer you can sit with that feeling, the stronger you become. You're teaching your nervous system that discomfort is not danger. That profit is not something to protect, it's something to let unfold. Do this again and again. Every time you feel that compulsion to act, recognize it, breathe through it, and wait. That's the drill. Simple, repetitive, brutal. But over time, it rewires your emotional reflex. Because the market is not testing your analysis, it's testing your patience. And most traders fail that test long before the market proves them wrong. You see, patience is not passive endurance. It's active confidence. It's the ability to sit in uncertainty without trying to fix it, to stay with the process even when your brain screams for resolution. In life, we rush to end discomfort. We scroll, we check, we refresh, we distract. But trading demands the opposite: stillness, not stimulation. The more you can tolerate the boredom of doing nothing, the more you'll profit from the chaos of everything. When you hold a winning trade, your mind will fight you. It will whisper, "What if it reverses?" It will show you imaginary losses that haven't happened. It will invent stories of missed opportunities. That's not intuition. That's anxiety disguised as logic. The market isn't the enemy. Your impatience is. Every great trader has scars made from impatience. They've all felt the regret of taking profit too soon. And yet through that pain, they found discipline. Because discipline is not built from success, it's built from reflection on failure. The patience drill forces you to face that reflection every day. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's repetition in silence. It's watching candles move and doing absolutely nothing. It's measuring your strength not by how much you act, but by how much you cannot act. And slowly something shifts. The fear of losing profit turns into calm curiosity. The hope for more turns into quiet observation. You begin to see the market not as an opponent, but as a mirror of mass emotion. You're no longer caught in it, you're watching it. Detached, still, clear. That's where mastery begins. Let's make it practical. Before you enter any trade, write down your exit logic both for profit and for loss. Be precise, not just the numbers, but the emotional boundaries. Ask yourself, what am I willing to feel today? Because trading isn't just a financial risk, it's an emotional one. Once you're in the trade, promise yourself one thing: you will not exit based on emotion. You will only exit based on evidence. No fear, no hope, only logic. When you feel the urge to interfere, pause. Count to 30. Take a breath so deep it grounds your body. And repeat this line: I am not my P&L. I am my process. If you do that one simple act consistently, you'll start noticing something profound. You feel lighter, detached, at peace. Because you're no longer chasing control. You're practicing acceptance, and acceptance is the foundation of patience. When you can sit inside a trade and your heart stays calm, no matter what the candle does, that's emotional freedom. That's what separates the gambler from the professional. The difference isn't knowledge, it's composure. The gambler trades to escape emotion. The professional trades to understand it. One reacts, the other observes. One seeks excitement, the other seeks clarity. That's why patience is not optional. It's not just a nice trait to have, it's the core edge that compounds everything else. You can copy strategies, you can automate entries, but you cannot automate patience. You have to become it. And once you do, something beautiful happens. You stop needing the market to move. You stop chasing the outcome. You start respecting the process. You hold your winners not because you're numb, but because you've transcended the noise of hope and fear. You finally understand profit is not the reward of action. It's the consequence of alignment. At some point, every trader reaches a crossroads. You've learned the charts, the systems, the risk models. You know when to enter, when to exit. But something still holds you back. Not the market, not your broker, not your strategy. It's you. The mind that cannot sit still. The hand that cannot wait. The voice that cannot stay silent. You begin to realize trading was never about predicting price. It was about confronting the parts of yourself you've avoided your whole life. Impatience, insecurity, ego, fear of missing out. They don't disappear because you've learned technical analysis. They follow you into every trade. And if you don't train them, they'll trade for you. They'll decide when you exit. They'll decide how you size your risk. They'll decide when you break your plan. That's not trading, that's self-sabotage disguised as decision-making. The market doesn't create emotion, it reveals it. It's a mirror, not a monster. When you feel fear, it's not because the chart is dangerous, it's because your mind is untrained. When you feel greed, it's not because the market tempts you, it's because your discipline is fragile. So if you truly want to master trading, you have to stop looking for setups and start building self-awareness. That's the transformation. Patience is a muscle. You train it like any other, not once, not occasionally, but daily, with repetition, reflection, and radical honesty. Every day before you open your charts, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Because your emotional state before the session is the lens through which you'll interpret every candle. If you're anxious, every retracement looks like a reversal. If you're greedy, every bounce looks like an opportunity. You don't trade the market, you trade your perception of it. That's why journaling matters. Not to record trades, but to record you. Write down the moment you felt fear. Write down when you felt hope. Write down when you felt the urge to act and what triggered it. You're not writing numbers. You're writing a map of your mind. Over time, you'll start to see patterns not in price, but in yourself. You'll realize that your biggest losses came from emotional reactions and that your best trades were born from patience and detachment. That's when you begin to understand patience is not about waiting longer. It's about reacting slower. It's about giving your logic enough time to speak louder than your emotion. The patience drill continues beyond the screen. Here's how it works: 3 layers of emotional training. First layer, observation. Notice your impulses in real time. You're not trying to stop them, just see them. Feel the tension in your hand when you hover over the close button. Feel your breathing change when your trade moves against you. That's awareness. Without awareness, there's no control. Awareness is the first victory. Second layer, separation. Once you notice the emotion, step outside it. Say to yourself, this is fear. This is greed. This is hope. Don't label yourself, label the emotion. Because when you separate you from it, you stop being the emotion. You start observing it. Observation dissolves identification. And what you can observe, you can master. Third layer, conditioning. This is where you build patience into your nervous system. Every time you feel discomfort and don't act on it, you strengthen your tolerance. You're teaching your brain that uncertainty is safe. And that is how emotional stillness becomes automatic. You no longer need willpower, you've built reflexes. Over weeks and months, this becomes your identity. You no longer try to be patient. You are patience. That's the transformation every professional trader experiences. Not when they find a new system, but when they stop needing the market to make them feel safe. Understand this. The reason most traders fail isn't because they lack strategy, it's because they never built emotional endurance. They crumble at the edge of discomfort. They flinch when they should flow. They confuse volatility with threat and silence with boredom. But the professional knows that patience is not waiting for the trade. Patience is the trade. Every second you don't react emotionally is a second you gain control. Every trade you hold according to plan, you deepen your belief in discipline. And that belief compounds faster than capital ever could. Because psychology compounds too. The calmer you become, the longer you hold good trades. The longer you hold good trades, the more your edge manifests. And the more your edge manifests, the calmer you become. That's the feedback loop of mastery. That's what separates randomness from consistency. Let me tell you something that most never realize. You cannot eliminate emotion. You can only elevate your relationship with it. Fear will always whisper. Hope will always tempt. But when you've trained patience, those voices lose their authority. They become background noise. You hear them, but you don't obey them. That's emotional freedom. That's where the professional lives, not in the noise, but above it. The amateur asks, how can I stop feeling fear? The professional asks, how can I act despite it? The amateur closes trades to end discomfort. The professional holds through discomfort to end illusion. And in that space between impulse and response, profit is born. There's a story that every patient trader carries the moment they finally understood this truth. It's rarely a winning day. It's usually the day they didn't react. The day they watched the market pull back, felt the panic rise, but stayed still. And then the market returned to their favor. They realized they didn't need to predict. They just needed to stay. That day changes everything. Because from that point on, they stop trying to control outcomes. They start controlling themselves. That's when they move from trading the market to trading their mind. So let this be your next evolution. Not a new indicator, not a new entry, a new level of emotional precision. When the market gives you profit, don't rush to secure it. Let it breathe. Let it expand. You don't own the profit until you've earned the patience that sustains it. Ask yourself, can I watch a winning trade fluctuate without needing to interfere? Can I sit in the tension between hope and fear and remain still? If you can, you've already won, because the real victory is not the profit. It's the peace that comes from mastering yourself. At the end of every session, reflect not on the money, but on your mind. Did I act from fear or from logic? Did I close because of price or because of emotion? Did I hold because of patience or because of hope? Answer honestly. That's how growth happens, not in silence, but in self-confrontation. Every reflection plants the seed of transformation, and over time, those seeds grow into the unshakable calm that defines a true trader. The market will always test you. It will tempt you with fear. It will seduce you with greed. It will pull at every thread of your discipline. But if you've done the work, if you've trained patience, you'll see it differently. You'll understand that every test isn't an attack. It's a lesson. Every fluctuation is a chance to strengthen stillness. Every impulse resisted is a rep in your emotional gym. And every moment you choose patience over reaction is one step closer to freedom. Because that's what trading is, not the pursuit of money, but the pursuit of mastery. A quiet war against the noise within. A meditation on uncertainty. A practice of patience. So the next time you sit in front of your charts, remember this simple mantra. I am not here to control the market. I am here to control myself within it. That is the essence of the patience drill. That is how you hold winners without hope, without fear, without flinching. You just hold, calm, present, aligned. Because when patience becomes your nature, the market no longer tests you, it reveals you. And what it reveals is mastery. You don't need to be faster than the market. You don't need to outsmart anyone. You just need to outweight your fear, to outlast your doubt, to outbreathe your ego. Patience isn't a strategy, it's an identity. The market rewards those who can wait without wanting, who can act without reacting, who can hold without hope or fear. So take this with you. The next time you see price move, don't move with it. Watch, listen, trust your plan, trust your stillness. Because in the silence between fear and greed, there lies a space where truth appears. And in that space, you are free. This is Mind Over Markets, where the trade is not against the chart, but against the self.